Happy Wednesday, Year 3. It's Miss Everingham here, and welcome to today's English lesson. Lesson 8 of our English lessons about Into the Forest. I hope you're enjoying the story so far. Okay, in today's lesson, you will need a pen or pencil and your home learning book or a piece of paper to write on. Pause the video while you gather those things and then press play when you're ready to get started. Fantastic. So your writing task this week is to write a short sequel to Into the Forest. Remember, a sequel is what happens at the end of the story. If you need to, you can pause the video now and go back to the link that's on the screen here to watch the story and listen to the story again. Press play once you've finished that and you're ready to keep going. Okay. I wonder what skill we are going to be learning today. Read along with me and let's see if you can work out what feature I have highlighted in red. I picked up the basket, which was now much emptier. I knew the path that led into the dark woods was dangerous. However, I needed to help the children who were lost and hungry. My grandmother, who was feeling much better, told me she would meet me in the forest and help find my way home, but I was lost. Suddenly I saw her. That is the girl who was hiding behind the oak tree, I thought. Have you seen my grandmother who lives in the cottage by the stream? I asked desperately. She shook her head, which sent her two braids swinging over her shoulder. I looked back along the path which had led me to this spot. I decided my only hope was to rest overnight and start my journey when the sun began to rise tomorrow. So I'm into the middle part of my story now. But what feature have I highlighted in red? A relative clause. My turn. Today I'm learning to use relative clauses in my writing to engage my reader. Your turn. Fantastic. We're going to find out what a relative clause is. But first, there's a few things we need to know before we learn about relative clauses. Firstly, what is a noun? Very good, some of you knew. A noun is a word given to a name of a person, place, animal, or object. My turn. A noun is a word given to a name of a person. Given to a name. Let me try again. My turn. A noun is a word given to name a person, place, animal, or object. Your turn. So, again, a noun is a word given to name a person, place, animal, or object. The boy ran away from the forest creature. Boy and creature are the nouns in this sentence. Person, place, animal, or object. The children found their way home. Children and home are the nouns. Person, place, animal, or object. Which of the below is a noun? Write down on the piece of paper in front of you 1, 2, and 3. Tick for a noun, cross for not a noun. Now remember, a noun is the word given to name a person, place, animal, or object. Press pause while you work it out and press play when you're ready to check. Fantastic. So the nouns are path and wind. So 1 is a tick, 2 is a cross, and 3 is a tick. Well done. Which of the below is a noun? Tick for the noun, cross for not a noun. Write down on the piece of paper in front of you 1, 2, and 3. Tick or cross. Press pause while you work it out and press play when you're ready to check. Well done. Grandmother and cake are people, places, animals, or things. They're nouns. Grandmother is a person, cake is an object, so they're both nouns. It's not a noun. So 1 is a tick, 2 is a tick, and 3 is a cross. Fantastic work, Year 3. Okay, now that we know what a noun is, let's find out about a relative clause. A relative clause comes after a noun and gives more information about the noun. It starts with that, which, who, whose, where, or when. My turn. A relative clause comes after a noun and gives more information about the noun. It starts with that, which, who, whose, where, or when. Your turn. Fantastic, Year 3. Okay, so a relative clause comes after a noun and gives more information about that noun. It starts with that, which, who, whose, where, or when. I picked up the basket which was full of fresh cake. The noun is basket. So the relative clause, it comes after the noun, after basket, and it gives information about the basket. I picked up the basket which was full of fresh cake. Okay. The relative clause starts with that, which, who, whose, where, or when. In this relative clause, highlighted in yellow, it starts with which. Which was full of fresh cake is the relative clause that gives information about the basket. Okay. So a relative clause comes after a noun and it gives more information about the noun. Can you spot the noun in this sentence? Yes. That is the girl who hid behind the oak tree. The noun here we're talking about is girl. So the relative clause comes after the noun and it gives information about the noun. So it's going to give information about the girl. That is the girl. Which girl? The girl who hid behind the oak tree. The relative clause is in yellow. It starts with that, which, who, whose, where, or when. Can you see which one of those words does this relative clause start with? Yes, it starts with who. Can you see who's circled there? So the relative clause is in yellow, who hid behind the oak tree. It's more interesting for us to read because it gives more information about what's happening. My grandmother, who is feeling much better now, said she would meet me in the forest. Grandmother is the noun that we're talking about in this sentence. So the relative clause is going to give more information about grandmother, the noun, and it comes straight after the noun. This relative clause also starts with who. What other words do relative clauses start with? Can you work out any? Yes, relative clause starts with either that, which, who, whose, where, or when. Very good. Okay. Where is the relative clause here? Okay, so the relative clause comes after the noun and tells more information about the noun. The path that leads into the dark woods is dangerous. The path is the noun. So the relative clause is going to be about the noun, the path. What path? Oh, the path that leads into the dark woods. The relative clause is in yellow and it starts with that. That is one of the words that we can use to start our relative clause. Which one of these sentences includes a relative clause? The frightened boy who was trying to get home shivered as he saw the shadow. The boy squeezed his palms together tightly. Or 3, he ran behind the tree that swayed in the wind. It might help you to first work out where's the noun in the sentence and then where's the relative clause that comes straight after the noun. Press pause while you work out which one has the relative clause, 1, 2, or 3, and then press play when you're ready to check your answer. Let's see how you went. The frightened boy who was trying to get home shivered as he saw the shadow. This has a relative clause, so number 1 is a tick. The boy is the noun, and the relative clause gives information about the noun. The boy squeezed his palms together tightly. There's no relative clause that starts with that, which, who, whose, where, or when. Can you see any of those words in number 2? No, there's no relative clause in number 2. Number 3, the tree is the noun, and that swayed in the wind. Ooh, the relative clause starts with that, and that is one of our words that we can start with. So that swayed in the wind gives us more information about the tree, which is the noun. Press pause if you need to go back over that again, and then press play when you're ready to check your answer. Okay, have I identified the relative clause correctly? And how do you know? I've underlined some words there. Are they relative clauses? Press pause while you work out your answer and press play when you're ready to check. All right, how did you go? Number 1, he bit into the spongy cake which melted in his mouth. He bit into the spongy cake is not the relative clause. The relative clause is circled. It starts with which and talks about the cake, the noun. Number 2, in the distance, that isn't a relative clause. It doesn't start with one of our special relative clause words, does it? So it's a cross. He finally felt safe when he spotted the green door of his house. That is a tick. Safe is the noun. When did he feel safe? Oh, when he spotted the green door of his house. The relative clause gives us more information about the noun. Press pause if you need to go over that again, and press play when you're ready to check your answer. So when you're ready to keep going. Fantastic. Write down the relative clause in this sentence. How do you know the boy whose cow is big and strong? Oh, I'm sorry, let me try that again. Do you know the boy whose cow is big and strong? Write down the relative clause in that sentence. Press pause while you do that and press play when you're ready to check your answer. Okay, let's see how you went. Did you write down those words? The boy is the noun. Whose cow is big and strong? We're giving information about the boy. He has a cow who is big and strong. That is our relative clause. Press pause if you need to fix up your answer and press play when you're ready to continue. Write down the relative clause in this sentence. The cautious girl eyed the cake suspiciously, which filled the air with the smell of cinnamon and apple. Press pause while you write down the relative clause and press play when you're ready to check. How did you go? Did you write down that? The cake is the noun, which filled the air with the smell of cinnamon and apple. We're giving more information about the cake. I spotted the relative clause because I know that which is one of our words that starts off our relative clause. Next one. Write down the relative clause in this sentence. The brother and sister looked at the path where the boy had been standing. Press pause while you write down the relative clause and play when you're ready to check your answer. Where the boy had been standing. Path is the noun, and the relative clause gives us more information about the path. Where had the boy been standing? On the path. Press pause if you need to check your answer, and then press play when you're ready to continue. Wow, some of you cannot be tricked. You're doing so well today. Well done. My turn. Today I am learning to use relative clauses in my writing to engage my reader. Your turn. Fantastic. Which sentence is more engaging for the reader? 1. He ran into Mum's arms. 2. He ran into Mum's arms, which were stretched out towards him. How do you know which one's more engaging and how do you know? Press pause while you work out your answer and press play when you're ready to check. Did you say number 2? Number 2 is more engaging because it includes a relative clause. Arms is the noun, which were stretched out towards him, gives us more information about the noun. Well done. Help me improve my writing. Have I included a relative clause in these sentences? Can you edit and refine my work? He looked for the girl. The boy was finally spotted at the house. Now remember, look at the blue writing, it might help you. A relative clause comes after a noun and gives more information about the noun. A relative clause starts with that, which, who, whose, where, or when. Can you add in relative clauses to these sentences? Press pause while you fix up these sentences and press play when you're ready to continue. Okay, did you have something similar to me? He looked for the girl who could help direct him it's a bit hidden, I'm sorry, but that is I looked for the girl who could help direct me home. You could have said he looked for the girl who could help direct him home. Maybe you had another relative clause that gave information about the girl. Did your relative clause start with that, which, who, whose, where, or when? Give yourself a tick if it did. The boy finally found the house, which stood next to a rushing river. That's a bit better. The boy finally spotted the house, which stood next to a rushing river. The relative clause gives more information about the noun. The noun is house, which stood next to a rushing river. Maybe you said something gave some more other information about the house. Did you start your sentence with that, which, who, whose, where, or when? Give yourself a tick if you did. Or press pause if you need to fix up your answer. It's your turn now. Your writing task today is to write the ending of your sequel to Into the Forest. You've said what happened at the beginning of your story. So after the boy came home with his dad, he decided to go back out into the forest maybe. Then he had problems. He met some scary or dangerous people in the forest. How does the boy make it home safely? You have to solve your problem from yesterday today. And don't forget to use relative clauses in your writing. I can't wait to hear from Miss Salib how you go today and hear all the creative relative clauses that you use. Well done on focusing once again today, and I look forward to speaking to you tomorrow. Bye.